Good evening, everybody, and welcome. This is the first Conservation Commission meeting of 2026, and I hope everybody had a nice.
Karen.
What? Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, can you hear me now? It's going to be one of those nights, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Welcome, everybody, to the first Conservation Commission meeting of 2026. I hope everybody had a nice break since we last met in December. This meeting, the Eastham Conservation Commission will hold a hybrid public meeting on Tuesday, January 13th, 2026 at 6 p.m. pursuant to Massachusetts General Law, MGL Chapter 30A, Sections 18 to 25, Open Meeting Law, MGL Chapter 131, Section 40, Wetlands Protection Act, and Chapter 155 of the Code of the Town of Eastham. This meeting is being broadcast on Public Access Channel 8 and streamed on the town website at www.eastham-ma.org and on YouTube. It will be rebroadcast on Channel 8, and meeting videos will be available on YouTube. Before we begin, a quick reminder. While our meetings are relatively informal, the Commission uses a simplified version of Robert's Rules. The chair runs the meeting, and everyone should speak through the chair after being recognized. Please raise your hand if you wish to speak. We allow discussions between commissioners, staff, and applicants, and may extend that to abutters. For NOIs and RDAs, the applicant will present first, followed by discussion with the commission and staff. Once the commission questions have flowed, abutters will have a chance to speak, followed by other members of the public as time allows. The chair may set time limits if needed. Please keep your microphone muted unless it's your turn to speak, and let the chair know if you will be recording the meeting. Most importantly, please be respectful of others so we can keep the meeting productive and focused. I'm going to take attendance and then we'll begin. Mike Rivers.
Here.
Joanne Cossett.
Here.
Janet Benjamin.
Here.
Chuck Wagner.
Here.
Greg Douglas.
Here.
Cinnamon Swabble. Joanne Cossett. That got you already?
Yep, you got me.
Okay, and Karen Strauss, I am here. Apologies, it's going to be one of those nights for me. I will do my best. First up is a period of public comment. This is the time for anybody who wishes to speak briefly on anything not on tonight's agenda. And if you wish to be heard, please make yourself known. Okay. Seeing no one. First up tonight, we have a request for termination of applicability filed by the Eastham Housing Authority. Applicant proposes to upgrade the septic system at property located at 5960 State Highway, map 02, parcel 490. I believe that's you, Laura.
Yep. Good evening, everybody. For the record, I'm Laura Schofield from Schofield Brothers. I'm representing the Eastham Housing Authority at this 5960 State Highway property. This property abuts the Eastham Wellfleet town line to the north, and it's on the east side of Route 6. There is a 4-bedroom duplex on the site that was built in 1988. Our project tonight is the upgrade of the septic system that serves the dwelling. And we're here because our project site falls entirely within the riverfront area to Hatches Creek. And so the current septic system is aging, and it's going to be completely removed and replaced with a new Title V septic system that will include an Advantex innovative alternative technology. The existing system is located on the southerly side of the driveway and parking area, and this is as far from the wetlands as you can manage on this property, so that's why we're going to be putting our new septic system in that same location. And most of the disturbed area will go back to being driveway after the new system is installed. And any other areas will be loamed and seeded with a rye fescue mix, but most of it is underneath the driveway. And the new system is composed of a septic tank and our full-sized soil absorption system. We're using some concrete galleys here. And as I mentioned, there's nowhere else on the property that you can get outside of the riverfront area. So the proposed location of this system is within the footprint of development. So we're not disturbing any naturally vegetated areas to install the system. There's no endangered species habitat here, and we're providing a work limit on the opposite side of the driveway. And that leaves the driveway area for access and staging. And the new septic system with its AI technology actually contributes to the interests of the Wetlands Protection Act in terms of protecting groundwater, water supply, and preventing pollution. It's a pretty straightforward project, and that's why we submitted the request for determination of applicability. And that's pretty much it. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you, Laura. I know that Greg, Cinnamon, Mike, and Alex were out for site visits this morning, so I'm going to ask if one of them would like to just go through what they saw out on the site and maybe start off with any questions. Greg, you want to take it?
Sure. It was a pretty straightforward situation. It looks like that any disturbances are going to be in areas that were already disturbed in the past. It is, again, close to the creek, but I think that I really didn't have any concerns, given that it's simply replacing an existing system that could be failing with something that's much more advanced and will do a better job. I didn't see any problems.
Thank you. Any questions, comments from the rest of the commission? Alex, anything from you?
Yeah, I mean, I'll echo what Greg said. Seems like a low impact project. The work is within a footprint of the pre-existing septic system, which is within a dirt drive. So when it comes to resource area impacts, it seems pretty low impact. And as Laura mentioned, it's an upgrade to the existing system, which has a positive impact to the riverfront area.
I think it was a very well designed RDA, and I have no questions myself. So I'm going to ask if the commission would like to make a motion for a determination of a positive 2A, a negative 3, and special conditions for septic system. Is there a second?
Second.
All right. Cinnamon?
Aye.
Greg?
Yes.
Chuck? Janet?
Yes.
Joanne?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
And I am a yes. There you go. Thank you, Laura.
All right, thanks, everybody. Good night. Happy New Year.
You as well. Next, we have a continuation of request for determination of applicability filed by Gail Badukian. Applicant proposes to flush cut 23 invasive Japanese pine trees and planting beach grass at property located at 18 Horton Way, map 07, parcel 493A. The applicant has requested a continuance to February 10th, 2026. So if we could have a motion to approve that.
So moved.
Somebody? Okay. And a second? Okay. Mike? Joanne?
Yes.
Cinnamon? Janet?
Yes.
Greg?
Yes.
Chuck?
Yes.
And I am a yes. Okay. Next, we have an administrative review filed by Diego Babiloni. Applicant proposes to construct a new screen porch at property located at 675 North Sunken Meadow Road, map 01, parcel 043. Alex?
I did speak with Diego about this, and he wishes to withdraw the admin review application because the work covered in this will be within a notice of intent that Jason Ellis just filed with us.
Okay, so we should have a motion to approve the withdrawal.
So moved.
If somebody, okay, in a second.
Second.
Okay, Janet,
Yes.
Chuck,
Yes.
Joanne,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Cinnamon,
Yes.
Greg,
Yes.
and I am a yes. Okay. Next, we have an administrative review filed by David Tucker. Applicant proposes to remove 5 trees and prune 2 trees at property located at 700 Herringbrook Road, map 14, parcel 028A. Somebody here to speak to that, or I will ask if somebody who went for a site visit would like to just run us through what they saw out there. Mike, you want to give it a shot? Oh, Cinnamon, go ahead.
My biggest question would be is exactly what the intention of the new, or it looked like maybe it was a past existing driveway, of what that was. It was very unclear because it was right next to an asphalt road. So I think that would be, I feel that would be the clarifying question we would need.
Okay. I had similar questions. The applicant is not here tonight. Is that correct, Alex?
That appears to be correct.
So I think as there seem to be questions that we might want to continue this to the next meeting and request that the applicant appear.
Sure. Yeah, I will note that I did speak with the contractor who will be doing the tree work, but I have not spoken with the property owner. So I think having their input on this this project, it certainly is beneficial. So I would recommend continuing this to the next meeting, and we'll make sure that we convey that to the property owner.
I didn't want to cut off anybody who had any questions now, but I think it might make sense to hold on to them until the property owner and or contractor is here. I know, Janet, you had your hand up. Did you want to? Okay. So if we could have a motion to continue this to our next meeting, which is January 27th.
Continue to January 27th.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Joanne,
Yes.
Cinnamon,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Chuck?
Yeah.
Greg?
Yes.
Janet? And I am a yes. Okay. Next we have continuation of notice of intent filed by Robert and Maxine Seltzer. Applicant proposes to reconstruct existing pier, ramp, and float at property located at 76 Old State Highway, map 22, parcel 010. They've requested a continuance to January 27, 2026. So if we could have a motion and then a second for this.
Move to approve the continuation January 27th.
And seconded.
Thank you. Joanne?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Cinnamon?
Yes.
Janet? Greg?
Yes.
Chuck?
Yeah.
And I am a yes. Okay. Next, we have a continuation of notice of intent filed by Donna and Daniel McCormick Jr. Applicant proposes to reconstruct an existing stairway on a coastal bank at property located at 30 Richard Lane, map 21, parcel 62D.
Hello,
Bob,
good evening.
welcome.
Welcome and thank you. Bob Perry, representing for 30 Richards Lane. We were here with you 2 weeks ago or so, and there were some things to change on the plan. A week ago or so, we submitted new copies, revised December 29. We changed the title of the plan so that it reflected more accurately what the project is, which was the stairway, but a landward extension of the pier. There's a typical pier frame detail, and the concern for pilings or posts in the wetland has been solved by a simple removal of the 2 posts that were there, and we're bracing that span. One minor thing, at the bottom of the stairs, we're leaving a gap in the railing where it's where the stairway is closest to the ground. And if you were walking along the shore through there, you could step up and about, I think, 2 risers up and over the pier. So it's a smart thing to have an opening there. And so that's the change that we made to satisfy your concerns and the comments. And so that's all I have for you.
Okay, well, I want to say thank you for addressing our concerns so thoroughly. I think you've answered all of my questions and concerns here. I do want to just mention that I'm not sure if you might need to update your Chapter 91 license given the change.
The pier change is landward of the mean high tide line, so there's no change to the license. So that's out of that state jurisdiction. One other thing just is that I wanted to thank Alex for sending the condition draft over. Only one thing on condition 21, it mentions something like an aluminum stairway, so that might be a boilerplate thing or a word processing thing that could be checked before you leave it in the order. But no, the dock, the pier, all of that just remains as it is.
Okay, thank you. Any questions or comments from the commission? Okay, any comments, questions from any abutters? Okay, so seeing none, if we might have.
I've got a
Alex,
quick. I'll just
Okay.
mention. Thank you, Bob, for that edit, and I'll make that change prior to sending this out.
Okay, so if we might have a motion to approve this with special condition, with the change as noted in the OOC, with the special conditions for stairway replacement. And a second, please.
Seconded.
Okay, Mike,
Yes.
Cinnamon,
Yes.
Joanne,
Yes, and just for the record, I did file the Mullen statement on this case.
thank you. And I should have mentioned that at the beginning. So,
Glad to
okay,
have you
Janet,
aboard. Thank you.
Yes.
Janet, Chuck?
Yes.
Greg?
Yes.
And I am a yes. Okay. Next, we have a continuation of notice
you.
of intent. Oh, thank you, Bob.
Good night.
Next, we have a continuation of notice of intent filed by David Milliken. Applicant proposes to construct a new house and appurtenances at property located at 95 Windjammer Lane, map 19, parcel 066.
Hi, I'm Gavin Ellis. Pinching it for my dad today. But so we have a already developed lot owned by David Milliken. This is for his son. He's proposing a new dwelling. The Title V system is a nitrogen reducing system already approved by the Board of Health. And when there's a landscape plan showing the relocation of all the spruce and cedar trees that are in the middle of the proposed dwelling. Those will be moved with a tree spade to maintain the vegetation, and all the vegetation on the easterly line, which is Rogers lot line, that is all going to be maintained there. And then on the northerly line, there's an area of overgrown invasives that's also to be removed. and replaced with natural vegetation. And we'd like to continue this to the next meeting, but we're just here to kind of answer some, or ask some questions and make changes to things that you guys would like. So I'll take any questions now.
Okay, well, as we've been, let's start. Actually, that was not on the site visit list this morning. We were out there a couple of weeks ago for a site visit when we didn't yet have the narrative in place. I'm going to start off and just ask a few questions related to the flood information and the grading. There's been a change in the building code, and flood issues are a concern for us as well. And the building code now requires the height of the building to be the base flood elevation plus 3 feet in coastal A zones. And this one appears to be 1.5 feet above flood elevation. And you're also proposing to change the grading to redirect the floodwaters away from the structure without discussing where the floodwaters might go and how that would affect things.
Okay, yeah. So I'll forward that to my dad, and I'll have him answer that next meeting when he comes back.
Mm-hmm. So would it be better for us to wait and ask questions to the next meeting when your dad is here, or do you want to make a list?
Yeah, he just wanted me to take a list of questions from you guys so we can have them all ready and answered and fixed for you guys next meeting.
Okay, thank you. Janet?
One comment who went out to the visit before I asked the questions.
It was just Mike and me. So, Mike, did you want to comment on anything about the site before Janet asked questions? Or
No, I don't have any additional questions right now.
okay, go ahead, Janet.
And I also had the concern of the house being 3 feet of the floodplain. And I think the landscape a little confusing because I'm not sure what you're taking out and what you're putting in. And I like that. And no trees proposed to replace trees that it appears you're taking out. Also, it looks like the driveways are opposing 2 driveways. One is shell. I'm not sure what the other one would be. And I'm not sure why there are 2 driveways. So if you could speak to that also. And that's you.
Alex?
I was just going to mention, I think we got the gist of what Janet was saying, but we were having some audio issues here at Town Hall. You're kind of cutting in and out, Janet, but I think we were able to.
We can summarize. She's concerned about the 2 driveways and doesn't quite understand that, and would like the landscape plan to be a little more clear about what's coming out and what currently exists and what's going in. Is that the gist, Janet? Yeah, I also think it would be helpful to have a list of the trees and shrubs and so on that are coming out, because the landscaping plan is not particularly clear on what exists and what's coming out, and it uses some of the same graphics to depict cedars, and it seems like arborvitaes and some other things. Okay, so is there comments from anybody else on the commission? No. Okay, any abutters on the call? Alex?
I believe we wanted some clarification about the patio. Is that right, Karen? the patio
Oh,
depicted
that's
on,
true.
on the landscape plan, but not the site plan.
Right. So the patio is on the landscaping plan, not on the site plan. So we'd like it to be on the site plan, but also details about its construction.
Okay, yeah, it would be a pervious patio, so a block patio, and we can certainly put that on the site plan portion there. We just it was getting a little too messy with all the septic stuff on there, so.
Yeah, it seemed in some ways a little more a septic plan than a site plan, and then have the
Yeah.
landscaping plan with additional things. So,
Yeah.
okay. So any other, Chuck, go ahead.
Yeah, maybe I must be missing something. Because looking at the town map, this piece of property is outside of all of the buffer zones for wetlands. Why are we even hearing this?
You want to answer that?
So this project is within land subject to coastal storm flowage and within those buffer zones.
I don't think I believe it. Just looking at the map, it doesn't show it in a flood zone.
It
Yeah,
sure does.
Yeah, it does.
Most of this subdivision is actually in the flood zone, and there's
Right.
the middle part of the subdivision is kind of like a little island in the middle where it gets higher in the middle, but all the stuff around the perimeter is pretty much every house in there is in the flood zone. I've designed a lot of the septics around in there, and they're all subject to the flood zone and land subject to coastal storm flowage in there.
I had to zoom in to see it. I'm sorry. Apologize.
Okay. If you pull it up on Mass Mapper, you can see that the AE flood zone covers probably about 3/4 of the property, including where the house is going. Okay. Any other questions, Chuck? Okay. Alex?
Then I believe we also wanted to discuss adding some dry wells.
Right. Go ahead.
So if that's a possibility,
Yeah, I think I have that in my narrative on the protocols on the second page of the narrative.
perhaps I missed that. Thank you.
Usually I put gutters with dry wells.
95 Windjammer.
So you had some questions about the driveway locations.
Yeah.
So there's an existing paved driveway that comes off on the property next door. That was the one we came before you a couple months ago with the septic, where we put a new septic in there. So there's a driveway that comes up it's parcel 65, and then it goes up towards that house, and it also goes over into this garage that's getting ripped down. This lot used to be owned by the guy next door, parcel number 65. So that driveway will remain over on parcel 65. The portion that's on Dave Milliken's property will be removed and brought back to just vegetation, just grass area, as well as the garage area. As far as the trees go, there's several. We tried. It just so happens that the lot is actually clearest in the middle where the house is actually going to be constructed. There's a lot of cedar trees around the perimeter of the property, particularly over on the southwest and southeast corner of the property. Roger Thurston lives at parcel 70A. He expressed a concern about wanting as many of the cedar trees to remain, so we positioned the driveway in such a way that the cedar trees are some very well-established cedar trees along there that Dave Milliken wants to keep. There are a couple of cedar trees, or there's actually one cedar tree and 2 or 3 spruce trees in the area where the house is going to be constructed. He's going to be taking those trees out with a tree spade and replanting those on the lot in areas to help the screening on the sides, particularly towards Roger's property there. And then there'll be about 6 more smaller cedar trees planted on Roger's side there too. There's a little gap area there, just to try to provide some screening there for Roger. And I don't know if Gavin explained, there's an area down on the north side of the property that's very overgrown with invasives, mostly bittersweet, and it's kind of choked out all the vegetation that's down there. So we want to remove that area, and there's a number of shrubs that we're going to be planting down in there, mostly bayberry, low bush blueberry, and beach plum. There's several existing high bush blueberries that are very well established. They're almost 10 feet tall, that are you can see on the blue bushes there that are right on the lot line on that north side. Those will all just remain untouched, as well as the other trees that are outside of the area where we're doing the construction. So there are a couple of larger pitch pines within the building envelope of the house. Those will be coming down. A couple of them are leaning pretty bad from windstorms, so they're I think they're a little compromised, and I think one of them had some damage from beetle damage on it. So so those will be coming out. But he wants to try to keep as many of the cedar trees as possible, and the ones that will need to come out will just be relocated on the property. So.
Janet, any follow-up to that? No? Okay. Any other questions, comments from anybody? Okay, so we'd like to then, I think, continue this to the next meeting, which is January 27th.
If you could,
Okay, so
if you might
Go
be
ahead.
able to maybe just give me a laundry list of some of the things. I know everything is very well staked out right now, so we've got a little behind with that with the snow and everything, but everything's staked out over there. So we would like to. I could meet you out there when you guys do your site visit next time for the next meeting, just so I can kind of show you around where everything is good, proposed and whatnot on the lot. But if you have a laundry list of items that you'd like me to address, I know the patio and the dry well maybe locations, the elevation of the top of foundation.
the grading and where the water would flow.
Okay.
And then just to that tree discussion, vegetation discussion, if you could just put that in writing. So
Absolutely.
maybe of what's
Sure.
okay. Alex, was there anything else that we discussed? I think that was it.
Yeah, I'm looking through my notes here. Yeah, the building code details on the landscape plan. Yeah, I think that's everything, Karen.
Okay. All right, so then all we need is a motion to continue this to January 27th.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second?
Okay. All right. Janet?
Yeah.
Greg?
Yeah.
Mike?
Yes.
Chuck? Chuck?
Muted.
Can't hear you.
Yes.
Okay. Cinnamon?
Yes.
Joanne?
Yes.
And I am a yes. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay. Next, we have continuation of notice of intent filed by Stephen Wurst. Applicant proposes to replace existing concrete seawall with stone revetment at property located at 75 Cove Road, map 18, parcel 050A.
Good evening. I'm Brian E. Angus. Again, it's like Brian with a Y. And I am here on behalf of the applicant from Ty and Bond. I'm joined by Dan Jeremickley, also from Ty and Bond, who is the engineer and project manager on the job. And I believe Steve is on as well. So we were before the commission in December, presented the project, and the commission requested some additional information with respect to project alternatives. We submitted that to the commission and are going to briefly present it tonight. We both did a more robust analysis of all alternatives and then a deeper dive into some nature-based solutions. So I'll let Dan do most of the presenting and we will keep it very brief. But I do just want to restate, and this was in our memo as well, that the commission's jurisdiction with respect to alternatives is limited to your local bylaw. There's no requirement in the Wetlands Protection Act for an alternatives analysis for coastal resources where a project does meet performance standards, which this does. So it's the commission's bylaw with respect to buffer zone impacts. And all alternatives presented and considered for this project, just given the nature of the site, the buffer zone impacts are very similar. So, Dan, all you.
Thank you, Bryony. I'm just going to share the screen here. All right. Can everyone see that?
Yes.
Awesome. All right. So just a very quick recap of the site and what was previously submitted here. So site location, 75 Cove Road. We have our parking lot, upland area, slope down to the water. We have our boat ramp here, concrete seawall, timber ramp and pier here. So yeah, NOI submitted in November, alternative analysis number 1, and then alternative analysis memo number 2 was the last meeting, and then this is our expanded alternatives analysis. So our previous alternatives analysis had 6 alternatives in it, no action, an annual beach nourishment, and the elevated stairway. Next one had a tow protection bulkhead, essentially putting back what's out there with construction of a new elevated stairway. Alternative 4 was tow protection bulkhead, essentially a seawall with elevated stairway plus beach nourishment. Alternative 5, we had coastal bank stabilization using coir rolls and vegetative plantings. And then alternative 6 was replacing the seawall with a sloped stone revetment. So additional information was requested, so we provided that in our table of alternatives analysis there with regards to these specific items here. And then we also provided additional information on the, I'll say the more nature-based solutions that was requested as well. So provided more information on alternative 5, which was the coir rolls, and then added a new alternative, which is vegetative plantings only. And so just to provide a little more additional information, so for alternative 5, that would be stabilization using an array of coir rolls and plantings on the site. So a non-structural, essentially bioengineered solution, kind of a hybrid soft solution, semi-structural, if you will. Typically, these are used in fairly low, maybe moderate wave energy environments on the site. They're typically best suited for sites that have a lot of high beach. While these can dissipate wave energy, you want to get them away from the water as much as you can if you want them to last. They're natural materials. If they get wetted constantly, they don't last. And at our site, there's literally no high beach. High tide line is against the wall. So that was one big issue with using them here. And then the other thing is we're in a FEMA velocity zone. If you go there on your average Tuesday and it's a sunny, beautiful day, fairly calm site, but we need to keep in mind this is a velocity zone. It can get high energy in storm situations, and a solution like this is not meant for that type of situation. High likelihood of rapid failure in that situation. Also, like, this solution really depends on establishment of the plants for stability. It's a difficult location to grow plants. significant maintenance monitoring required for upkeep in order to potentially make that happen, irrigation, things like that. And it's just really not a practical solution for long-term stabilization of the site. And then next was just a nature-based solution, so essentially removing coir logs or anything, again, structural, a loose term there. But in order to do this, the embankment coming down to the site is fairly steep. So stabilizing it with plantings alone is really not a viable alternative for stabilizing the embankment. Excuse me. So in order to help it, I guess, last and be more effective, we would need to flatten that embankment quite a bit. In order to flatten that, obviously we can't go towards the water. We would have to go back landward. So that would require taking part of the parking lot and flattening out the site to roughly a 3-on-1 slope, something that's a little more tolerable for plants. And in doing that, like I said, you're going to lose the parking lot. It's a very narrow road. There, you literally wouldn't even be able to turn a car around there. So from that perspective, it really doesn't work. In flattening out the site, we need to keep the boat ramp there. So we would have to install a retaining wall to support the edge of the boat ramp. A big part of why we're doing this is to get rid of the walls, get rid of things that cause scour. Putting another wall in just doesn't seem, kind of seems to go against the goals of the project. And then also, vegetation is just only so effective at containing sediment, and with all the concerns about sediment migration to salt marsh, I don't see this as there's a high likelihood of having negative impacts on adjacent resource areas by using just plantings alone. And so with that, that is the end of our presentation, and open it up to any questions, comments from the commission.
Okay, thank you. I think you can drop your screen sharing.
Sure.
Okay, so I looked at all the material you provided through this several revisions, and having looked at it all, I'm going to kind of start at the beginning again. So you're proposing to remove the entire, basically the entire seawall and replace it. Under our regulation section 2, reconstruction definition, anything where 50% or more of the structure is being replaced would reset it so that it's considered a new structure under our regulations, rather than a reconstruction or a replacement. That would get us to looking back at the performance standards for a new revetment under 10.33. So looking at it as a new revetment rather than a replacement, given the our regulations, how can you justify having a revetment? 10.3 calls for a revetment to protect a structure. Dock and a boat ramp. So I have a question in that, and it also calls for the nature-based or least invasive options to be considered or tried first. And then you talk about the seawall being in poor condition, but you don't provide any details on that. No structural analysis, et cetera. Now, I've been at the site a few times since January 2019, and I was back out there again in December, and I did not see any appreciable change in the erosion on the toe of the seawall in the past almost 7 years. So I am not completely clear on the need to replace what exists at the moment. You talk about it being a velocity zone, but you also talk about it not being in particularly high wave energy for that location. So we don't actually have any details, site-specific details on the wave energy analysis or Fitch data to determine what is going on that location. You talk about the scoured erosion of the toe and how a revetment would improve that, but you don't mention that revetments also cause erosion directly in front of the seawall. So I have issues with all of that. And then looking at the revetment and any storm runoff from the landward side, I don't know that the mitigation you're proposing or the landscaping that you're proposing is sufficient for the amount of storm runoff that site would get, and it would take several years for it to establish. So I wonder how you're going to address any potential channelization in and under the revetment from the landward side. And a lot of what you're providing for us is basically this isn't going to work because we say it's not going to work without providing any specific technical details about why it's not going to work. So that's kind of where I am. I also think that the commission should request a peer review from Brian McCormick, who's the county coastal process specialist here, and that's kind of where I am.
So can I just clarify your first question? Are you suggesting that a definition in the bylaw, which I see reconstruction, points us back to different standards in the Wetlands Protection Act?
Yes, I'm saying that.
I disagree with that.
We define it as a new structure.
That's
and
fine.
A seawall and a revetment being different structures, and also that you're replacing it 100%. So we have to address this as a new revetment as opposed to a replacement to a seawall.
So just to be clear, under the bylaw and the regulations, though?
Yes.
Okay.
Under the bylaw, which defines this as a new structure. So we go back to the regulations in 310 CMR 10.
I with respect to the chair, I disagree that your bylaw can call this a new coastal engineering structure under the State Wetlands Protection Act. Under the, you can call it a new structure under the Eastham bylaw and regulations, but this is a replacement under the state act.
Well, under the bylaw, we're allowed to be stricter than the state act.
That's fine.
And we have declared this a new structure, which then refers back to the standards for a new structure under 310 CMR.
Your determination for a new structure is 50% or more new?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we're not removing 50% of the existing wall, just to be clear. So we're it's close, but we are less than 50% of the existing wall.
You're going to have to show
Just
that.
to be clear on the literal read of your own regulations, it says shall conform with the then current provisions of the Eastham bylaw and Eastham wetland regulations. I will also
It doesn't say Eastham wetlands regulations. It says regulations.
I'm happy to share my screen. I will say also the comments that you just provided, I will not be able to remember them all. So it would have been, we can take them one by one. But I guess if you have like, shall we take them one by one, or or is this something you can provide in writing, or it's minutes to the meeting? This is, I will say, just generally the comment that we're providing information that says these alternatives are not sufficient without any backup. This is a memo that was prepared by a PE who's designing the project. The fact that a professional engineer is giving you information to demonstrate why we don't believe a nature-based solution works at this site, I believe is sufficient for the purposes of the alternatives analysis. I'm trying to think about, if we do need to respond to them individually, let's go by them one by one. I remembered the first and the last.
First and the last. Okay.
Or Dan, I don't know if you have other things you want to respond to.
Let's just take them one at a time. I can't remember 10 technical questions in my head in a row. So,
Okay. So now I have to remember which order I put them in. No, not really. Wave energy and fetch. You talk about this as a velocity zone, high energy one, but you also mentioned that it's not so much at this location because the cove is relatively well protected, but you don't provide any wave energy analysis or assist or fetch data, so that is site specific.
So it's in a FEMA velocity zone. So
Mm-hmm.
by that definition, the minimum expected 100-year wave height is 3 feet, the absolute minimum.
Mm-hmm.
I could pull up the FEMA flood study report and see what they have in there for wave heights, but
Because usually when we see revetment filings, we get wave analysis data.
okay.
So
I can,
This is the, multiple times that this project has been filed. I think it's the first time the commission's asked for a wave analysis. It wasn't requested last time. So
Mm-hmm. Well, last
guess
time it wasn't a revetment.
no, I mean
Oh.
at the December hearing. It has been a sloped revetment since this NOI filing and since the previous state review, which was withdrawn. But so is that can you confirm, or can the agent confirm that requesting a wave analysis is a standard for coastal stabilization projects? It feels like all industry professionals and standard practice relies on publicly available data about wave action and flood zones.
Well, we've had that for all of the coastal revetments on the Bayside. Well, pretty much all of them.
is this on the Bayside?
No, but this is the first revetment we've seen on Town Cove since I've been on the commission, and I've been on the commission for almost 9 years.
Okay.
Again, this is a solution, and Dan, you should probably speak to this, but it is a solution that is directly intended to cause less erosion because of the sloped nature of it versus the vertical base of the existing structure. So
This is a significant improvement on a vertical wall. And then in the alternatives analysis, if you just want a nature-based solution, we will need to construct additional walls in the flood zone or in the velocity zone. So we're taking walls from one location, we're putting them somewhere else like that. We're still reflecting wave energy. It's not helping. This will significantly reduce wave reflection and reduce scour. Is it a perfect solution? Will it eliminate scour? No. But is it a significant improvement? Absolutely.
Well, I'm just trying to understand the data around the proposal that you're making and the options. And I don't feel like I have enough information yet. And then moving on to the wall itself, you say it's in danger, imminent danger, emergency to replace. But I've been out there numerous times since 2019. It doesn't seem to be in any worse shape than it was 6 years ago. And you haven't provided any structural analysis or shown us that the erosion at the toe has increased or is causing significant issues
So
to make it an emergency. So I like
we're
to
not calling this
have
an
some data.
emergency.
No
We never
one-
said an emergency.
You're saying that it's failing and you're not
It is-
providing
yes, so-
details, and it doesn't seem to be in any worse shape now than it was in 2019. So I want more information.
Yep, as a licensed structural engineer in the state of Massachusetts, this wall is what I would consider failed. If you, as we were out on site, I pointed out there were 2 fairly significant sinkholes behind the wall. It is losing fill through the wall. That fill is dumping out onto the beach. I pointed those out to you while we were on site. And then also, in the corner where it meets the boat ramp, there was a concrete patch that was done there, and the wall had pulled away from that patch about 3 inches. So the wall has moved 3 inches already. While your eye may not just catch that by going to the site once a year, that's failed in terms of walls.
So I seem to remember the site visit differently than that, and not wanting to discuss the landward side of the wall, as Brian, he did not want to discuss it in the previous meeting where I questioned it. So
can you clarify what you mean by not wanting to discuss the landward side of the wall?
I brought up questions about the landward side of the wall, and you moved on and didn't answer the questions. And go back.
Are you talking about where the face of the wall meets the earth, or the slope above the wall?
Where the earth meets the wall. I brought that up at a previous meeting, and you didn't want to discuss it. So you can't say I didn't bring that up before. And the site visit, I don't know. Mike was with me at the site visit. I don't know how much he remembers of the discussion, but I believe you said you were mostly there as a placeholder, and you didn't answer that many questions.
I answered every question you had.
Yeah, we're not trying to deflect questions. I guess I'm a little unclear on the actual comment about the landward side of the wall.
Well, I just asked for more details on the structural state of the wall and the scour of the toe. Let's leave it at that for the moment.
And scour, the footing of the wall was exposed. It had very short distance to go before it's going to be undermined. And also it's a beach. It fluctuates somewhat. So if you go out there on any given day, it may be exposed. It may not be exposed. It's a dynamic environment. But the wall has moved. There is fill being lost through the wall. And it's very clear to see on site. I mean, you don't have to be a trained professional to see that the wall has leaned over at least 3 inches so far. So, and just so everyone knows, once retaining walls start leaning, that's a one-way trip for the wall. The walls don't come back. They just continue to move forward till they fall over.
Okay. I'm going to open it up to other questions then.
Didn't you have a lot more questions than just that, though? I want to make sure we hit them all. I don't want to skip any.
Okay, I did have more questions. I just don't want to go. All right, let me pull up my list. Where was I? Obviously, we went through the new structure, the wave energy report. We talked about the tornadoes, the landward storm runoff issues. Landward storm and the revetment and the mitigation / landscaping.
So we provided a fairly robust planting plan for the site with native plantings along with a coastal seed mix. That would typically be stabilized with an erosion control matting till it gets established. I think that's pretty industry standard practice. So that's how we would deal with it. The site, there's no, I guess, runoff issues or channeling issues at the site right now. I know there is turf out there right now, but we're putting back native plantings, getting rid of turf grass, also a significant improvement on the site, especially over what's there now. So that's how we would deal with any channelizing issues.
I think the revetment might have different channelizing issues than the turf that's there now going into a solid wall. So
This
I had
was
concerns.
specifically addressed in our memo. We didn't touch on it in the slide deck tonight, but we did have our a stormwater person provide input with respect to stormwater management and runoff for the various alternatives. So I believe we did address this.
So those were my issues. And I'm going to see if anybody else has anything. And I also would like to have Brian McCormick come take a look. Who had their hand up? Greg?
Yeah, good evening. I was just curious if you could provide any additional information with regard to your definition that this is a high energy environment. That would be useful to me. Is it when you talk about high energy, are you referring to something you might find on the bay side of the Cape or on the ocean side, or is this, I just didn't understand how we defined what high energy was. And my second question was, is this wall in imminent danger of collapsing or falling over? Based on your experience there and analysis and observations, the wall is separated by, say, 3 inches. What is the expectation in terms of how long before it totally fails?
Sure. So I guess with regards to wave energy, I would think most people are familiar with FEMA definitions of flood zones. A velocity zone is the highest wave energy flood zone. This site is in one of those flood zones. Now, these zones can have, it's a minimum of a 3-foot wave height, and then it goes to essentially infinity. Obviously not, but much higher numbers. So this on your average calm day, it's a fairly calm site. But in 100-year flood conditions, this is a velocity zone. This is a very high energy environment. We don't build shoreline protection to protect you from a calm Tuesday. We build shoreline protection to protect you from significant storm events. You don't need it on the calm day. You need it when you have a storm event. As an engineer, I need to be able to stamp something that's going to stand up to a significant storm event. And this is a velocity zone with significant wave heights out here. So that is for wave energy. And I'm sorry, what was the second question?
The second question, let's see, I just got interrupted in my thoughts. Was the wave energy? Oh, and based on your analysis of the wall itself,
sure.
Is it going to fall on somebody? I'm concerned about the safety of this wall.
No, and it's a valid concern. The wall is leaning. It's not a huge wall. I don't think it will catastrophically blow out tomorrow, but it's on its way to failing. And it's unpredictable. Freeze-thaw cycles. You have, a lot of heating, a lot of cooling back and forth in the winter season. It could push 1 inch, 2, 3, 4 inches. So and as it leans more, it's going to start to crack. It's going to start to break apart. These are all kind of the end life cycle of a retaining wall. And that's where it's headed. It could be tomorrow. It could be in 5 years. I don't know. There's a lot of natural conditions that push on walls and make them move in certain ways. But it is a wall retaining a fairly steep embankment. It has a decent load on it. It's not just a flat area with no load behind it. And, it's absolutely at risk of failure.
And my last question.
This is Steve Worth. If I could just add a couple quick comments. I'm obviously not an engineer, and I can't speak to the engineering points. But as far as energy and what we actually see on that wall, like Dan said, typically it doesn't, it doesn't get a lot of wave action. But during a storm, the wave and a high tide, during extreme high tides, the high tide is up against the wall, and during a storm, waves crash over the wall and up onto the embankment. So we do get extreme conditions on that wall. Although, like Dan said, it's not every day. But when we do have high tides and or storms, we do get severe conditions. And all we're trying to do is maintain our wall. We've been able to do that over the past 50 years by simply adding sand to the beach, which no one seems to want us to do. So we're doing exactly right now, we're proposing exactly what the state has recommended that we do. Which is, rather than putting sheet piles, seaward on the seaward side of the wall, we're proposing putting in a rock revetment, which will decrease the amount of, it'll absorb more energy than our existing wall, which is a good thing, and it will. It's what the state has recommended that we propose as a better alternative, or as the better alternative to what is existing now. And so, we're just trying to maintain the wall. are at this point, we have been denied putting sand on the beach, and now our footings are exposed probably, approximately 8 inches. And so there's a significant exposure of the footings of the seawall right now. And, to the storm, potential, if we get nothing in the next 2 years, probably nothing will happen to the wall. But if we get one severe storm, that could take the wall out. And we're just trying to prevent that and do what is suggested by the state and what is the right thing to do to maintain our property. And I'll give it back to the engineers at this point.
Thanks, Steve. Sorry, Greg, my brain got sidetracked. But did your question get answered in that?
Yes, you were talking about imminent risk of failure. I
Yes,
think.
there we go. Yep. Okay, we covered that. Yep. Awesome.
Greg, you're muted.
Yeah, I'm sorry. You answered my question, and I had one last question, and it had to do with the slope values that it used. Can you just explain the slope values? Is there any flexibility in those in terms of the slope for a naturally vegetated wall or system? Because it seemed to me, like you said, that if you use the slope that you've proposed, you have to go you take up a good chunk of that parking lot. And is there any range around that? I mean, is it always the slope? Does it have to be such a flat slope in order for the plants to survive? Is there any flexibility?
Yeah, so it's 3-on-1 is the steepest that I would recommend for just a nature-based solution. And it's not just the plants, it's also helping the sediment to stay in place. Because obviously the steeper it is, you get the wave action, it's going to want to come down off the slope, come down with each wave. So the flatter it is, the less it's likely to scour out and get pulled out into the adjacent resource areas. So ideally I would have it even flatter than that. I wouldn't go any steeper than a 3-on-1. It's just not going to last, and the sediment is going to go into the adjacent salt marshes, which I know is exactly what we don't want to happen here.
Okay, well, thank you.
Yep.
Alex?
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to go back to our definition of reconstruction. I think I just want to make sure that there's no misunderstanding between the applicant and the commission as to whether or not the entire seawall is being replaced or a portion of it.
So it's less than half of it is being replaced.
Less than half of
the piece that's being removed is being entirely removed, but there is more than half of the length of the wall that is remaining.
Okay.
So it is not a complete removal of the structure.
Thank you.
Anything else, Alex?
No.
Okay. Janet and then Joanne.
That was my question also. I'm reading anywhere in the presentation, I might have missed it, how much of the wall was, but certainly the whole area that they want to replace with the river is coming out. You're not going to leave part of that, are you?
I'm sorry, your audio was breaking up. I couldn't hear you.
Like for
Janet?
I can translate, or someone else can. But she's like, for the portion of the wall that we're replacing,
yes,
the entire vertical face is coming out, but it's not. I think the issue is that it is not the entire length of that structure on the property.
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
Anything else, Janet?
No.
Okay. Joanne?
I apologize if it's in your paperwork, but I just wanted to clarify. Can you tell me a little bit further back the history of this property? When was the wall first built and the parking lot? When was that first constructed?
I think that would be the best one for Steve to take on. He knows the history of the site very well. if you're still on.
I'm fairly new on the property, but the property was developed in, I think, the 1940s. And the seawall, I would imagine, was put in, when the site was developed. I don't know exactly when, but that was, that's the range that it's been here.
Yeah, that's helpful, at least as a frame of reference. I appreciate that.
Anybody else? Would the commission be interested in having Brian McCormick come take a look? Yeah, Janet?
Yes.
Can we clarify, are you suggesting that another party come look at the condition of the wall or perform a peer review of the application?
Look at the wall and peer review. Brian McCormick is the county's coastal process specialist who we have used in the past to review revetments and other projects.
And is a structural engineer?
He's a coastal process specialist, so he would look at the project in total for us.
So just curiosity, how is that different from all of the state professionals that have looked at this wall and our existing engineers that have looked at the wall already? Is this like just a different set of eyes, or is there some level of professionalism that we haven't already addressed at looking at this wall?
This would be somebody looking at the wall for us. He's a coastal process specialist, and he would be looking at the wall for us.
Was the state not doing that?
We have not seen all of the state analysis here. We've seen the bits that have been provided to us, but this would be somebody reviewing it directly for us. It is not something that would cost you money. This is something that the county provides.
What is the timeline on that, though?
I'm not sure.
I have another
Alex, do you have any?
months. It was quite a few months to get him. So I just want the applicant to be aware that this could be a significant delay.
Yeah, I mean, if the commission is interested in setting up a site visit with Brian McCormick, that's something that could be set up in short order. So I don't anticipate that being a significant delay.
Like getting a memo out of him, that was the delay. No, the site visit was easy. It was
the memo. He's turned around memos pretty quickly. I'd say within a couple weeks.
Okay.
But I don't foresee this being something that would delay this months out.
Okay, that wasn't my experience.
So I'm looking for input from the commission on this.
I don't understand the.
I'm talking with the commission now, Steve. We'll come back to you.
Yeah, go ahead, Non.
Well, it seems that if we could get, if it didn't put a burden on the applicant, several months seems like a long time. I mean, if it's something that could be done relatively quickly, that we could get additional information, that would be a good thing, I think, to confirm the information that we have.
Mm-hmm. Mike, any thoughts?
Frankly, I don't have previous experience with this type of problem to have a substantive comment.
Okay, Cinnamon?
I'm never opposed to getting more information, but I will question what exactly will come of it. What would significantly change, at least how I feel about it. I view this as an improvement. I feel that we should not be waiting until an actual emergency does take place. I see an applicant who's trying to be proactive. So again, not opposed to more information. I am just questioning as to what it will clarify for us.
Joanne?
Yeah, I look at it this way. I'm trying to think, as you said, we haven't had to deal with a revetment wall in the cove recently. And so I'm kind of trying to use the experience that I already have. And what that tells me is, this property has been developed for a long time. If somebody says, if an expert, not somebody, says that the revetment wall is the way we need to go in order to protect the property, I think that's what I would be looking for. I have heard from folks here that a lot of that information has already been provided by other experts. If we could demonstrate that by collecting that evidence and have our expert look at that or provide his own report, I think that would get me very far towards a yes on this project, because I would want to hear that the revetment is, the not just preferred, but probably the solution that needs to happen and that others would fail. Thanks.
Chuck?
I'm in favor of the project. I don't think that having a coastal processes expert look at this is going to add anything, because it's an engineering problem, and the engineers have spoken, and the state engineers have spoken. They've written an extensive letter to the DEP, and they said flat out that they think the best solution is to put a revetment in. The revetment is a softer solution than a planar facing wall that has maximum reflective energy. A revetment soaks up energy as the water filters up into the rocks. And if it's beginning to tip, if the wall itself is beginning to lean, then it's either the slope is creeping forward, or sand and stuff is being moved around underneath it such that it's become unstable. And were it to fail in a storm, then I think any damage that you might have to the locale in and around it as a result of that is going to exceed any damage that putting the revetment in is going to do by far. I don't think it's appropriate to apply the 50% reconstruction rule either. I could be wrong, and I'm going to have to go back and watch videos now. But when we talked about that, we talked about it in the context of houses being reconstructed. It wasn't a broadly cast term. And to see it broadly cast now just highlights that it's a poorly written regulation. It's ambiguous.
Okay, so Janet?
I'm still in favor of getting some. The impression I had was that the alternatives we're proposing were discarded out a lot of proof. I'm very hesitant to propose revetment in the goal, and I would like more information before I vote.
If I may respond to that, I hope the commission has had a chance to review the pretty detailed matrix that we provided, where alternatives were compared against a variety of factors. That is a standard alternatives analysis for local, state, federal applications. Like, I'm not sure how much more we can evaluate these alternatives. They've been evaluated against environmental impacts, resiliency, cost, construction considerations. I think if we're getting told we need to do more, we need specific questions from the commission about what needs to be evaluated more. I strongly believe it's a pretty robust analysis.
Okay, so where are we on Brian McCormick? I have a couple of yeses, I have a no, and I don't know enough to vote. So maybe
Can I suggest?
Yeah.
sounds like we have a whole lot of information, and it sounds like you, as a member, not just the chair, but as a member, you would, if Brian McCormick says he agrees with the information that he's seen and had a chance to take a look, and he agrees that a revetment is appropriate, that would get you a lot farther down the road. And I certainly would value having a more independent opinion, that from a source that we've used before. So I am supportive of that. And I know you're thinking about the rest of us, but it also sounds like it would help you get to yes a lot easier.
That's true. So if somebody wants to, let's try this. Somebody want to make a motion to ask Brian to look at this? And we'll take a vote.
Brian McCormick to the project.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, we're gonna vote. Joanne?
Yes.
Chuck?
No.
Cinnamon? I didn't hear you, Cinnamon. Was that a yes?
Yes. Am I not being heard? Yeah.
Okay. Janet?
Yes.
Greg?
Yes.
Okay. Mike?
Yes.
Okay. And I'm a yes. So that sounds like we'd like to get Brian in to have a look.
So I
And-
guess if he comes back and says that he wants grass out there, like, is he gonna stamp the plans for the site? Like, it's a real question. I'm just
No,
curious.
he's going to give us feedback, and then we're going to discuss it and make a decision on your and discuss it with you and make a decision and have an order of conditions either for or against and so on. It's just another layer of input that we'd like to have. He's not making the decisions. He's providing more information for us and analysis.
Given that our engineers have done a huge amount of work on analyzing this project, along with the state, I mean, is it okay if your person talks to our engineers? I think that might go a long way in helping him get comfortable with the decision to make.
I think you're certainly welcome on the site visit when he comes and to have that conversation. I think that's pretty much what usually goes on with these kinds of things. Alex?
Yeah, I know for excuse me, prior projects, we have included the engineers and the applicant to join us at the site visit with Brian. And so we would certainly keep you in the loop when we're coordinating this site visit.
And is the site visit going to be sufficient, or are we going to have to wait for him to issue a memo before the commission will make a decision?
We would wait for the memo.
So, okay. And then, so is the town's going to coordinate this?
Yes, Alex is going to coordinate it for us.
Yes.
Okay.
If we could
we
move
would-
as quickly as possible on this, it would be greatly appreciated. Our most severe weather comes through the winter months, and we are anxious to get this maintenance project done. We've been trying to get this through the board for years, and have hit nothing but stone walls, and it's just mind-boggling to me. It really is.
Okay, so we would need to continue this. Alex, any thoughts on how long we want to?
Why don't we? Hard to say. I don't know.
Well, let's continue out to your next meeting, touch base about Brian's availability before then. We can always very easily administratively continue. Why is my face being shared?
Yeah.
If that
Okay.
works. Yep.
Yep. So we'll continue this to the next
I think
meeting.
that would work.
Yeah.
So if we could have a motion to continue to January 27th.
To continue to January 7th.
Is there a second?
Seconded.
Chuck,
Yes.
Cinnamon,
Yes.
Joanne,
Yes.
Janet,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Greg,
Yes.
and I am a yes. Okay. Thank you. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Okay. Next, we have minutes for December 9th, 2025. Has everybody had a chance to look at these? Any comments, concerns, questions, or would somebody just like to make a motion to approve?
I'd like to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Mike,
Yes.
Greg,
Yes.
Janet,
Yes.
Chuck,
Yes.
Cinnamon,
Yes.
Joanne,
Yes.
and I am a yes. Okay, and now we're into violations. First one we're going to discuss is 150 State Highway, and Alex has some updates for us.
Yeah, so Mr. Vecchione, as the commission probably knows, is in contempt of the commission's court order. Town council has filed a complaint for civil contempt with the Barnstable Superior Court, and we have a hearing scheduled for the 27th of this month. Concurrently, Mr. Vecchione is contesting our citations in district court. Those continue to make its way through that process. Hillary and I were at a hearing. Was that last week? Yes. My weeks are kind of blending together. That was last week, and our understanding is that at our next hearing, which is February 24th, they'll be grouping. So I guess how it's working currently is, Mr. Vecchione's contesting groups of citations, and they're all kind of going through district court at different times. And so they're going to group those all together, hopefully for one hearing in February on the 24th. That's court. After our December meeting, we did issue an enforcement order to Mr. Vecchione regarding his seasonal docks. As the commission knows, in our saltwater docks and piers regulations, seasonal docks need to be removed by November 15th. Mr. Vecchione as well. Beyond that, and an enforcement order was issued to have Mr. Vecchione file for permitting to have these docks removed by January 9th. We are now well beyond January 9th, and this has not happened. And so the docks are now a new violation to a list of multiple violations that we have on this property. So that's my update on that.
So that means we have some decisions to make on that. Primary of which is that since he has not complied with the enforcement order, it seems that the next step is to once again issue daily fines for him, and then perhaps to see if we need to move this also to Superior Court for injunctions. So if we wanted to issue fines, these would be the third and fourth violations, which would each have a fine of $300 per day. Alex, did you want to add something? Your hand's up.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention, just for the record, when our initial complaint was filed with the Superior Court, the seasonal docks at that point were not an active violation. And so that's why they weren't included in our court order. And so this is separate.
So I'm looking for comments from the commission. And don't all speak at once. Janet?
Yes, I don't really know what to do because you complied with anything that asked. No.
Right. But we have to, in order to move to the next step and the next step in enforcement, we have to go step by step by step and at least give him an opportunity to comply at each level, even if past experience suggests that this is an unrealistic expectation.
Sale didn't know.
I'm sorry, you broke up.
Sale did not go through in December. There was supposed to be auction.
Oh, that has been continued until February 4th.
Okay.
But that is not related to this discussion, and actually is not within our jurisdiction. So, do you guys want to? Go ahead, Chuck.
It's not clear what the end game is with all this. So my question is, are we able to, in order to compel him to comply, put a lien on that place?
No.
Are we
But
sure?
if yeah, I'm pretty sure the town doesn't do liens for wetlands enforcement fines, but the court might.
Yeah.
So he's got the court, the Superior Court injunctions, and he's in contempt. And Alex W. has formally submitted a filing, so that will become a formal contempt citation, and the court will take actions on that. But we still have this. The end game is to get those boats out of the water so they don't wind up becoming debris. And we don't have a lot of tools. One is fines, and we've certainly seen that that has zero impact on Mr. Vecchione. But in order to move to the next step and move this perhaps to Superior Court, we first have to follow each step along and do this procedurally correctly.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah.
Okay.
And then having the enforcement order in place and so on. Also, enforcement orders violations run with the land. So even if the property changes hands, whoever takes it over will be responsible for correcting any of these issues. So really it comes down to, do you guys want to direct Alex to issue fines for the floats for the two sets of docks?
Yes.
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 Okay. And so we should have a motion. Alex, go ahead.
Would these be, excuse me, daily citations or a one-time citation?
I think it should be daily, as has been our practice with him.
Mm-hmm. And then do we want to set a term for these citations or no?
Well, I'm thinking that we should do this, but we should set up another meeting with our town council.
Okay.
To discuss with the next executive session with town council to discuss what the next steps would be, possibly before our next meeting on January 27th. but that the fine should continue until such time as we determine what the next steps should be, or until Mr. Vecchione complies.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Does that sound right? So if somebody would make a motion to direct Alex as our agent to send Mr. Vecchione a letter confirming that he's in violation and that the commission has voted to fine him for a third and fourth violation at $300 each for the small dock and for the horseshoe docks for failure to remove the floats by the November 15th deadline and failure to follow to comply with the previous enforcement order.
So,
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Mike?
Yes.
Joanne?
Yes.
Cinnamon? Chuck?
Yes.
Janet? Greg?
Yes.
And I am a yes. Okay. And all righty. And then we have 25 CB Road. Alex, if you just want to give us a quick overview. And I know we have the owner and the landscaper on the call with us.
Yes, and thank you for hanging in there with us this evening. Backtracking a little bit, so the after our December 9th meeting, the commission voted to issue an enforcement order for this violation. That enforcement order included that the applicant needed to submit protocols to the commission regarding the removal of the debris on site and to set up a site visit with the conservation agent. Both of those have happened in a timely manner. I did meet Glenn Kravosky of EBT Environmental Consultants at the site last week. We talked through his proposed protocols for the debris removal. At that site visit, he was also in the process of delineating the wetland adjacent to this property. So I was happy to see that movement was taking place, to mitigate this violation. My understanding is Glenn was going to be on the meeting with us tonight. Is that true?
I am on the meeting, if you're hearing me.
Yes, we can hear you, Glenn.
Thank you very much.
I think at this
If
point,
you would
I'll
like me to
I'll
speak,
pass it along
finish.
to you.
I thank you for that very much. Glenn Kowalski from EBT Environmental. We did produce the report by the 9th, sent it over to Mr. Bates, and it does describe the removal of the material, how my methodology of I did meet with the contractor earlier in the morning of the 8th of December, of this January, and we went over his type of machinery that he has, cleanup bucket, I'll say similar to a 75G John Deere, mid-size excavator, oversight by EBT Inc. We do quite a bit of restoration and replication for DOT and different projects around the state. And we would remove the wood chips, the logs. There's some 4x4 posts that were left by the previous owner. The gentleman, Mr. Sanborn, has had this property approximately 2 years. I believe he's online also. And and there's some log butts that are older. Any material that's human-made, we propose to remove. It's approximately 150 feet along the driveway and I'm looking at the map now on the driveway. Excuse me for a second here. And this would be the driveway to the front, or let me see, it would be the southern side of the property. The actual wetland is on the more towards the west side of the property, and that the material is along, this drive that goes around the structures, and 30 feet deep at the maximum. The A horizon has not been removed. This is wood chip and log butts, so we can easily remove the wood chips, put it in a 14-yard dumpster, a dump truck, take it off the site directly. The logs would be put aside. This is what I describe in my letter. Those would be picked up by a log truck adjacent to the swimming pool. There's a little bit extra area, so those would be put aside. And those would be immediately removed also. So within a couple of days, the contractor, the landscaper, stated that this would be a 2-day project, a 2.5 day. I would definitely, in the landscaper, I have his card here, SNK Landscaping. We would initially go to the site, observe his work, direct them on ensuring that we're not going into that A horizon, but just skimming over the surface. Some laborers would do any rake up material to ensure there's none of that left behind here. I did describe reseeding it with both a conservation seed mix, wildlife, and also a conservation wildlife seed mix or flower seed mix, both out of New England wetland plants. I did leave it clearly up to the commission to tell us what additional potential shrubs you might want in that area or seedlings. There on the side of the driveway, not within the compound, there was one black locust removed. It was leaning. It's rotted in the center. The stump is still there, and you can see that. So the landscaper did take that out. I did describe if there was a seedling required to replace that. We also have existing grades from there in Dennis and Douglas, more from the Worcester area, Oxford, Mass, clearly. And so this existing grade, one of the branches is in Douglas. I did contact them. They're going to be working something in Wellsfleet, and they said they could pick up my wetland flags if they are agreed upon. I know Alex said that there was a peer reviewer out there looking at the delineation. I'm not sure. I was hoping to see his report. I did mention to Alex yesterday that if it's available public information, please get it to us so we can either hold back on the surveying or go forward with the surveying, depending on what the gentleman was going to say about the delineation of the line. I did show Mr. Bates some soil borings that we were doing, and we did get into what the species were. The actual wetland, the heart of this wetland system, this isolated wetland, is elevation above sea level 33. The driveway's at 37. The polygon showing the isolated wetland is approximately 34. So the heart of it, it's a foot deeper, plus or minus, 34 being the outer rim. And I know this is just Mass Mapper, and it's done by infrared, and so they're not always, well, clearly they're not accurate totally, but that's what it showed. And again, I'm approximately 4 feet with the driveway above that center of the wet system. So we'll wait for the peer review to see what he has to say. And clearly I was going by soils and vegetation on it. And it's the last thing I'll say, and then ask any questions coming in. But it was black locust, pitch pine, fox grape. These were all FAC up, and high bush blackberry. That was gearing me into looking at both that between and the wetland material out there, quite extensive greenbrier, a few high bush blueberry in the center, that 33 silky dogwood, and there were some red maples generally around the outer edge. Most of this, the wetland itself, was herbaceous and vine. I think that there is a little bit of Morrow's honeysuckle that I found in there that could be removed in this process by its very small, easy, shallow root. We work with this quite often, exotic invasive plant species removal specialist for Concord and quite a few places. And there's a bit of Oriental bittersweet, as you might expect. Anything we encounter, we would also take that out by root, as it's a shallow root. But it's as we all know, that it takes maintenance to keep Oriental out. That's a project. What would this wetland line? We will be able to see what that buffer zone looks like as it goes into the compound. Obviously, also. As far as erosion barrier, we did describe that once the material is moved back during that day, we would stake out a wattle line, straw wattle, stake it in place. As the materials moved back, we would lay out this wattle, and while the soil is exposed. So that would be at the interface of basically the chip and the existing vine shrub layer buffer zone before you get to the wetland. We didn't see that we were in the wetland with this work, but we're still waiting for that report from the peer reviewer, your peer reviewer. Thank you.
Okay.
I'm set for the second. Thank you.
Thank you. Alex, was there a peer reviewer?
Yeah, I wanted to speak to that. I just wanted to clarify, Mr. Kowalski, that your delineation will be reviewed by by the conservation staff, and then will also be shared with the commission as well. So there won't be any third-party peer review, so to speak. It would be done by staff and the commission.
Thank you again, sir.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
that's his way of saying that you still need to do the delineation, that there's not an outside person coming in.
If I could, Chairman, if this is the chairman, I did delineate the wetlands that day that
Okay.
we were there on the 9th, on the 8th, excuse me.
Okay.
It's in the report.
Okay.
Thank you.
I can see that. So, my question was, were any of the which trees that were taken down, if any, were within the 100-foot buffer zone to that shrub swamp?
If I could, if this is the chairwoman.
This is the
that
chair.
will be known, thank you again, ma'am. That'll be known specifically once the wetland flags are picked up and we show that buffer zone. We didn't take a tape measure from that heavy Greenbrier area, but we were waiting for the surveyor, which he said he could do it this week, pick up those flags. Then we will be able to see that exact 100-foot buffer zone. We could also take a 100-foot tape measure and just measure out, but I like to see, the second point or bullet point of the report, 12.9, was to submission of a certified site plan depicting wetland delineation. So that's why we immediately got a hold of a surveyor that's working in the area and in our area, and to pick up those flags and also pick up the debris so that we have a clear picture of the material that's out there, that oblong, if you're looking at the plan. I did create a sketch plan using the Mass Mapper, fairly accurate. I mean, as accurate as you can with Mass Mapper, the length, the depth, the flags, and then we'll know that buffer zone again, specifically once the flags are picked up.
Okay, so you're saying you're taking the flags out
We're taking the who?
by picking up.
No.
I'm unclear what you mean by picking the flags up.
Surveying the flags.
Oh, okay. So you're not removing the flags. You're just surveying from the flags.
Never
Okay.
pick
Just
up. No, we delineate all over the state, and when we use the term pick up the flags, it means have the surveyors pick them up or survey their position.
Okay, it's not a term I've heard before, but usually we need the flags to stay. So now that we're clear, I'm good with that. So,
Could I say, ma'am? Could I say one thing, ma'am? Only because you don't know my company or anything about me. So this is my 40th year in business. I've done from cell towers at P-Town, at the landfill, which was the sewer plant, to Falmouth, all over the Cape, rare species. I'm working from this week. I'm in, who cares, but Greenfield, Boston, Chelsea River. I'm running 70 projects all over the state. So just to give you a little background on, and then I could go into my education, but this is all I do. So yes, we picked up the flag. We're going to have the flags picked up, and we've been in vegetation, plants, botany, soils, UNH, Northeast, and Worcester State, the whole works. Again, I'm 71. I only have 10 more hard years to work because that's how much I love it. So that's just a little background on Glenn Krabowski.
okay, I appreciate knowing that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, and from my view, it looks like you've done some good work so far. So I appreciate that.
Thank you.
I'm going to see if the commission has any questions for you. And since you're on the phone, maybe people could just identify themselves for you as they go along. Anybody have any questions there? I'm seeing a lot of shaking heads, so it looks like everybody is okay with what you've provided.
Thank you.
Alex, you have something?
Yeah, I just wanted to confirm procedurally tonight, the commission will be voting to approve the protocols that were submitted to them for the debris removal. And upon approval, this work can then commence. And further down the road, I don't have the enforcement order in front of me currently, but I believe we're giving the applicant 3 months to submit the surveyed site plan depicting the delineations and proposed mitigation for the violation?
Yeah, 3 months from the December meeting.
Correct, yeah.
Can I interject just a little bit just to help? I have it in front of me, 324, and along with the, if I could, because you're looking for mitigation potential, anything in that buffer zone, those stumps are still out there. It wasn't grubbed. So we'll pick up the stumps also, so that if when we get to the next phase of mitigation, you'll understand, because you did ask Chairwoman, you did ask the question about mitigation. So we'll pick the stumps up so you understand what those pitch pines that we took out within the compound. We'll understand the numbers and where they are, and then we can work towards this mitigation.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's exactly what we were.
Beyond the debris. Yes, I'm sorry. Beyond what the debris is on top of whatever was brushed there might be some discussion, and I'm not going to say what you're going to do, but there could be discussion on the compound. So I want to just pick them up so that we don't have to, we're not going to send the surveyor back a second time, that's for sure.
Right, so that was part of our initial request, that we wanted to know the trees that had come down, where they were in relation to the resource and the buffer zone, and also any work that had been potentially been done on the neighboring property, that be included in the survey as well.
If I could, ma'am, thank you, through the chairwoman. The property line will, we did find a monument. If you're facing the swamp, standing on the driveway and facing the swamp, we did show on the plan, there's a concrete bound. So we gave that to the surveyors company, and from there they'll at least show that line, the linear line, and which will help us in identifying what's on our property and what's over the line on the other property, along with, again, the wetland flags, and then the altered area, and then the stumps as I'm going inland, the other stumps that are left out there.
Okay. Alex, you had anything else?
Yeah, just one more thought. I've been on the site with you. Previously, I'm comfortable, with the protocols that you've submitted. I think once the commission approves this, I think the only other thing I'd ask would be that you give us, the conservation department, 24 hours notice prior to,
yes, sir.
Any work starting for that debris removal.
If I could, through the chairwoman, we will be talking to the landscaper tomorrow. He did express that he could get out here rapidly, and so we'll get a date, and it might, whether it be towards the end of this week or sometime next week. When I first got to this site a few weeks ago, there was that 5 to 6 inches of snow on the ground. I know you don't get it all the time down there, but right now the ground was thawed. Not so much worried about that issue. The chips will come up, but we'd like to work in no snow. Clearly, it makes it cleaner, neater project, and I'm hoping that we can get something done by the week coming up.
Okay. I think that sounds
but I'll
really
let you
good.
know. Thank you.
Okay, so it sounds like we need to just vote on this. So if somebody might make a motion to approve the debris removal plan with 24-hour prior notice to Conservation Department.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Chuck?
Yes.
Cinnamon?
Yes.
Joanne?
Yes.
Greg?
Yes.
Janet? Mike?
Yes.
And I'm a yes as well. Okay. Thank you very much. It seems like we're good to go for now.
Thank you for the commission's time, and we'll be in touch with your agent. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Good day. Good day now. Bye-bye.
Okay. So next we have liaison reports. I have nothing to report on strategic planning or open space, except open space is meeting next week on Wednesday. CPA, Janet?
The CPA January 7th. At that meeting, 3 proposals that had been submitted, which we reviewed, was for 2 kiosks, and they would come out of the open space fund, 11,500, and the Eastham Elementary School had a proposal for equipment and installing a rubber surface, replacing handrails, for a total about $103,840.21. And we approved a little over that, to take into consideration the fact that the work won't be done for a little while. Wait until after the town meeting. And then there was a proposal from Herring Pond group to repeat the allotment that they did in 2014, and voted to approve that, $193,000, and that money would come out of the fund.
How much was that?
$93,000.
93,000?
193.
193. Okay, and of course that would be subject to Conservation Commission approval and the work, I mean. Okay.
So
Thank
our
you.
next is February 4th, at which time we'll have more submittals that we will listen and vote on.
So it is a copy of that pond remediation submission available for the public to look at, and I'd be interested in reading it.
I'm not sure. I would think about it, I'm not sure.
Okay, I could ask the CPA assistant there. Okay. Greg, anything from the Forest Committee?
Nothing new since our last meeting. There's a meeting sometime in January which hasn't been scheduled yet. So at that time, I think they'll have the plan for plantings in the spring.
Okay, so just remind them when you do have that meeting that they do need to file for an administrative review for any work.
Okay. Yep. Gotcha.
Okay. Thanks. Okay. Education and training updates. So you might have all gotten in your email and noticed that the registration is open for the MACC Annual Environmental Conference on February 28th. So anyone who is interested in that should speak to Amy and let her know what sessions you'd like to register for. And that's all I got for that. Alex?
I'd like to give a shout out to my aunt who's joining us from Wisconsin. She got quite a show tonight.
A little unusual show. So I hope that hasn't put you off. Thank you for joining us. I'm sure Alex appreciates you coming to watch him work.
I do.
He does a great job. I think everybody will second that. Okay, so any other discussion from anybody? Nope. Okay. Then it looks like we are done. I just want to say thank you to Wayne for jumping on our interruption. And good work, everybody. And if we could have a motion to adjourn.
Sure.
And is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Cinnamon? Chuck,
Yes.
Joanne,
Yes.
Greg,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Janet,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. Okay, we're
Now,
done.